Futurists for the second part of this evening. At the economic heart of the Belgian economy and one of the oldest gateways into Europe, sustainable development, transition, and resilience are no strangers to the Port of Antwerp. Our next guests will share their insights on how the Port of the Future will come to be, while staying in tune with the world. Please welcome Bert de Mot from Upsilon, Wouters from Poppins and Wayne, and Dries van Gheluwe from the Port of Antwerp.
Welcome back, Futurists, to the second and final part of this evening. Now that we're all charged up, let's talk about the role of Antwerp as one of the most important European cities when it comes to logistics. In the next panel, we'll talk about building the port of the future. And therefore, we've invited three amazing people. Good evening, Bert, Wim, and Dries. Welcome. How are you all doing? Wim?
Yeah, fine.
Not nervous?
Well, it's probably the biggest crowd I've ever sat in front. So.
It's amazing to be in an audience again after 2 years of COVID.
It is. I'm so happy to be amongst people.
Wim, you describe yourself as a creative technologist. Can you tell us a bit more about yourself?
Well, it started at a quite early age. I was lucky enough to have a dad who had a computer as an architect, and he was using 3D, oh no, not 3D software back then, but software back then to draw lines, and it had the first flight simulator, and that's how it all started for me, playing games and making my first animations and stuff like that.
It's amazing to hear that you were working with technology when you were little. Now you're working for some huge clients as the European Commission, as a creative technologist. But what does that mean, being a creative technologist?
Oh, so well, actually I'm a product developer, but I've always been so fascinated with technology. When I was studying, there wasn't any game education, stuff like that. And so you had to just learn it yourself. I was lucky enough to see the birth of the internet and doing a creative study and learning technology myself. When those two come together, it's like making creative things with new technology. Yeah. And
what is the link between your work and the Port of Antwerp?
That's a whole story. I'll try to keep it short. It started with a fun little experiment. They asked me to come by. One of my neighbors actually worked at the Port of Antwerp. He asked me to come by, see what we might be able to do together. And I was waiting there, and I saw this big map on the floor, map of the whole port, and then you see the port, and then you see Antwerp City in a little small corner, and it's like, hey, I live there. And then you see all the rest of the port, and I didn't know anything about the port, and I was like, how can I learn more about what's here? And I thought, what if you make like an AR app where you can just look at the map and see what's what? And then my appointment came, and I said, like, maybe we can do something like that. I said, okay, let's do it. And that's how it started. So it's a really fun, small story. And we started putting real-time ships on the map, and we started putting locations of companies on the map, and the locks and stuff like that. And it became like this boring atlas. So we decided to make it a little more interesting for people that are actually visiting the port. And we added like these virtual assistants in there as well. So these little avatars, and they started talking and telling story of that, how the port grew since Napoleon, and how a lock works and stuff like that. And then
Sounds
it became
amazing.
really fun.
Yeah. I will get back to you in a minute, but first I want to introduce our second guest, Dries van Gheluwe from the Port of Antwerp. Dries, welcome. What do you do at the Port of Antwerp?
Well, I've started working for the port 5 years ago, and I've been working then on several projects. One of the first things I did actually was developing, together with the whole team, our e-commerce strategy. So seeing how can a port cope with e-commerce, the fast-moving consumer goods, everything is changing. People want products faster, return them more often. So how can a port get into that industry? And then I did some work as key account manager shipping lines, and then last 2 years I've switched from, let's say, the sea to the land and working on business development for investments with a big focus on circular economy and energy transition. And one of the things I'm almost 100% occupied with is the development of next-gen district. Most people, I think, know this still as the old Opel General Motors production plant in the port area that we are reconverting into a hotspot for circular economy.
That sounds amazing. I will get back to you on the next-gen district later, but first I want to introduce our third and final guest from Auxilium, Bert. Welcome. You are the co-founder and CEO of Auxilium. Can you tell me a bit more about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thanks very much. I'm very excited to be here. So for me, this is really a home game, let's say. I was born and raised in Edegem, just outside the city. And I studied at the University of Antwerp, where I did a master's in chemical engineering. And after my master's, I started a very typical job in an engineering firm, typical 9-to-5 job. But there I quite immediately noticed that this 9-to-5 work was not really something that I liked. I really wanted to have ownership in my work. So after 2 years in the engineering firm, I returned back to the university where I did a PhD, because there you can really take ownership in the research that you do. So I remained another 4 years at university. Of course, one disadvantage about doing a PhD is that at one point it will end. So I was getting by the end of my PhD, and I had to decide again, what am I going to do next? And well, Auxilium came by, and yeah, so here I am now.
As a startup founder, pitching is something you have to do quite often. You have to do it over and over and over again. It's really important. Can you pitch us Auxilium?
Yeah, sure I can. So I hope that you like it, because we are still looking for investors. So if you are interested, let me know.
Okay, take the stage.
So what is Auxilium? Well, Auxilium is a company with the ambition to go towards a circular carbon economy. So what does that mean? Currently, for our products that we use in our day-to-day life, we need fossil-based carbon feedstocks. And of course, these feedstocks have the disadvantage that they create fossil CO2, and this CO2, of course, have a tremendous negative effect on the global warming. So we want to remove that as Auxilium. So what did we do? We developed the technology, we developed reactors that can be used to convert the CO2 that is now a waste stream with negative effects. We can convert the CO2 into useful chemical products, and then these products can then be used in the typical processes of manufacturers to produce the products that we get in the shelves. For example, we are now targeting formic acid as a product, which is often used in animal feed or in cleaning products.
All right, sounds amazing. As you said it before, pitching is really important to convince investors. Do you have a few tips for the people in the audience when they have to pitch their idea?
Practice a lot. Know what you're going to say, and if you know your story and you stand behind it, there's nothing more you can do.
All right. Wim, Apika, it's a digital twin. Can you tell us what a digital twin is?
So Apika, it's the name of the digital twin for the Port of Antwerp. Mm-hmm. A digital twin is a representation of a real world thing in a virtual environment. It can be a flat screen, it can be VR, it can be AR.
I see a picture of Apika.
Yeah. Now, Apika is more than just a digital twin. Well, the concept is more. But in a digital twin, you try to connect as much sensors, IoT devices, and information that you have about the real world as you can. And you can use that for different applications like simulation, but the first things is just observation. And you get a bird's eye view of everything that's happening in the port, from where the ships are, what the water levels are, how the locks are positioned. But also you can start detecting possible hazards and stuff like that. So that's where they're going to now with the port, and that's amazing.
So the digital twin is bridging the physical world and the digital world. And how did you come up with the idea of Epica and with the Port of Antwerp?
Like I said, it started with the map in the lobby of the port, and we started adding real data to that map. And I had a 6-month assignment, and I was ready after 4 months with the product we wanted to make, and I had 2 months extra. And I said, let's do some research and some experimentation. I started experimenting with a lot of VR visualizations of the information they had, because they have so much data and so much cool, interesting stuff there that's all packed in different parts of the company. And started combining all those elements. And once you can make that come to life, and you get a kind of a virtual assistant that will help you navigate through the port, or help you do your job more efficiently, or tackle safety hazards and stuff like that, yeah.
Dries, Epica started from an idea, but is she operational yet?
Yeah, every morning I step into the office, I grab a cup of coffee, I put on my virtual reality goggles and step into the matrix. No, not yet, but we have been doing a lot of work last year in designing the app, so combining the sources as Wim mentioned. And now we are at a very interesting moment, so ending up some test phases and working on some operationalization together with our operations team, so the people in the field. And just to give an example of one of the projects that is ongoing, inland barges, they come in the port, and so they need to go to a waiting berth, and then they plug into shore power systems. So shore power is, instead of running on their diesel generators, they take electricity from the shore. And what we are looking into with Epica is to see if the vessels that are located in these waiting berths, if they are actually connected to the shore power installations, because it's obligated to be connected so that they get off their diesel generators. And with that system, by combining those data sources, we now have an actual view, and if one is not connected, we can really apply on it together with our operations team.
I think everyone in the audience is excited to see Epica. I think we have a video.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning and welcome back. General status report. Today is an overall sunny day, with a light breeze from the northwest. Port traffic is busy as usual at this time of day, with 221 barges and 180 seagoing vessels in port. We're expecting 95 new arrivals and 73 departures today. Road mobility is within efficiency norms. There are 2 INOS quality alerts and 1 ongoing event. Would you like to investigate? At 8:51, INOS 22 detected possible hazardous compounds. Analyzing. According to historic wind data and ship tracking, a possible cause might be the chemical tanker My Fair Lady. Would you like to collect an air sample? Please select available UAV. Calculating flight trajectory. ETA in 1 minute 30 seconds. Initiate. Confirmed. I am Epica. Welcome to the port of the future.
Wow. Yeah, definitely. And Dries, what does the future hold for Epica?
Yeah, so we will continue developing the system by using new use cases, so further development, and now everything is in 2D, and in the video you saw many things in 3D, so working on that 3D development. And another example is the integration of, we have many cameras installed throughout the port, so that you really can run through the port area on your screen and just click on an actual image that you see what's actually ongoing through that camera vision.
Dries, the port has set clear ambitions. By 2050, you want to be completely climate neutral. What are the concrete plans to reach that goal?
Yeah. Well, you must know that the Port of Antwerp, next to a big logistics hub, is a very large chemical cluster. So to reach zero emissions by 2050 is a huge challenge for the Port of Antwerp in a whole. So we are working on different roadmaps together with on flagship projects that we are developing, and this roadmap is based on 3 different pathways. So the first one is energy transition, so to go to climate neutral energy sources using wind, solar power, but also looking to hydrogen economy. The second one is industrial transition, so how can we decarbon the industry? How can they get away from fossil fuels and integrate other sources? And I think our friend here is an expert on that and working on that domain. And a third one is working on the neutralization of the shipping industry, so going carbon neutral there. And an example there is our fleet, our tugboat fleet, doing tests on hydrogen fuel engines, on methanol fuel engines, so really to also there transfer from fossil to other e-fuel sources.
All right, let's watch a video to show everyone what the Next Gen District really holds.
Yeah.
This is where it all begins. This is where innovators bring their vision to life. Moving from linear to circular, from factories to networks, from using to renewing, setting an example for real change. Welcome to Next Gen District. A place for pioneers, for game changers and forward thinkers, who think of recycling a product before making it, who look for new ways to decompose and recompose, who always see possibilities, all while using renewable energy. If we want a sustainable future, we need change leaders, companies that show us we can do things differently, industry innovators that invest in research, startups that dare to try something new. Next Gen District offers pioneers room to grow, a network where they can exchange ideas and share resources, a location with road, rail, waterside and pipeline access, right in the heart of Europe. Next Gen District is the soil that breeds innovation. There for those who are ready to make a difference. Are you ready to be part of it?
Wow. Bert, the Next Gen District sounds like the perfect playground for Auxilium, no?
Yes, I mean, this is amazing. As you probably know, a big part of entrepreneuring is being at the right place at the right time. And if you look at the timeline of the Next Gen project, and if you look at the timeline that we with Auxilium as a company want to follow, the overlap is perfect. So we couldn't be more happy.
Yeah, and Dries, you already have 2 signed companies, right, for the Next Gen District?
Yeah, so we are really bringing this project to life. And since the beginning of this year, we have the 2 first signatures indeed entering the Next Gen District. Just to give an example of how these companies look like, one of them is called Triple Helix, and they are going to recycle plastics, more specific polyurethane plastics, so that contains, for example, in car seats, mattresses, but also isolation foams. So they are going to reconvert that into different chemicals that then can be reused in that chemical industry. And another company that signed today is Boulder Industries. That's an American company that is converting end-of-life tires. So we have a huge car manufacturing industry, tire business, and these old tires will then be reconverted again into different materials that can be used for producing new tires, but also integrated in that chemical industry in Antwerp.
And maybe the next company is Auxilium. Bert, starting a startup, you need a support system. You cannot do it on your own. Who was your support system?
Yes, indeed. It's very difficult to do it by yourself. So we were very lucky that we were a spin-off company from the University of Antwerp, so definitely the university gave us a lot of support in the beginning by sending us on business classes to really get to know the business side. Also, we got a lot of support from VOCA, the Chamber of Commerce, who really helped us with what is now the foundation of our company, really the idea, what do we want to be as a company, who do we want to be, what do we want to do, who do we want to help, and what problem do we want to solve. And also, of course, the Port of Antwerp has been an amazing partner in this trajectory from the start until the point that we are now, and hopefully long in the future. So yeah, we get a lot of support and we are very grateful for it.
It sounds amazing, and a few partners you just named are also here at the Future Fair, so definitely go have a look when you have an idea. Wim, I can imagine you had a completely different start as an entrepreneur?
Yes, well, actually I started my first company as a student, a student information net. Well, you needed a company back then to have a domain name, so yeah, that's how we got the domain name. And so it's a whole lot different.
Before we wrap up, I've got one final question for all of you. I'm curious to hear, how do you all see the future?
Yeah, for us the future is hopefully with less CO2 in the air and more CO2 in our products. So we are really working towards an investment round for our first pilot plant, who we can hopefully place in the Port of Antwerp in the next gen district. So that will be the main goal for us this year and for the coming years. And hopefully from there on we can internationalize our technology to different sites, different countries, and really put Antwerp on the map as the point where it all began for sustainable chemistry and CO2 recycling.
Wow. Wim?
Well, the future. I love working with other companies to think about the future. Not just my future, but their future also. So that's a big part of where I'm striving towards also, and relevance. I think that's a goal in our future projects as well. We've had nice relevant projects in the past, but I think we'll just keep that track and keep doing what we're doing and hopefully make a difference. Yeah.
Dries, do you have something to add to that?
Yeah, so that for us, we've created those projects, we've created that vision, and now I think for the coming years, it's just crucial to bring that vision to life. We are doing it at Next Gen District, but through all projects in the port. I think the port industry and the Port of Antwerp maybe itself used to be 15 years ago for a lot of young people as well, a dull place and then something with a bad environment, etc. But this is really changing, and we have a lot of interesting profiles that we are looking for, so really eager to catch up on that projects and seeing them realized within 5 and 10 years, so we can really make that transition to a carbon neutral future.
All right. Thank you, Dries, Bert and Wim, for joining us tonight. It was a real pleasure having you here. If you want to meet Dries, Bert and Wim, they will be running around at the Future Fair after the show. Give them, please, one final round of applause.